What's up, faithful? You're listening to another episode of the 49ers Web Zone No Huddle podcast, a part of the Odyssey Network. I'm Brian Rennick. He's Al Sacco. The 49ers get a much-needed win against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. The star of the game, George Kittle, absolutely showed out in prime time on National Tight End Day. They go into the bye 4-4 and in a technically three-way tie for first place in the NFC West. Al, I know you and I were talking a bit before we went live. It was a sloppy game, but it was a win nonetheless. How are you feeling today after what you saw last night?
Signs of good things. Signs of the Niners looking like the 49ers. It's like they went in at halftime and someone just walked in and reminded them, you guys know you're the 49ers, right? And they were like, oh, shit, yeah, we are the 49ers. And they went out in the third quarter and they played like the 49ers. They dominated. I thought the third quarter was the best quarter of the season.
100%.
Of the season. Absolutely looked fantastic in that quarter. But before we get into that, you said George Kittle. This is an official George Kittle appreciation show. National Tight End Day, whatever. This is National George Kittle Day for me because what this guy is doing, and it's going under the radar, I think, in terms of 49ers and their franchise. It's been mentioned, but we really have to consider right now. It's Jerry Rice, it's Terrell Owens, and when it's all said and done, George Kittle is going to be the third name that you mentioned. Yeah. And let me explain why I'm saying this. So last night they talked about him having 500 catches on the broadcast, and that puts him fifth all time for the Niners, and he's only 8 behind Roger Craig for third all time. Mm-hmm. Gonna eclipse that and then some, obviously. And then the next two guys are Owens and Rice. He's tied for 8th in receiving touchdowns right now with 43, and he's 16 away from third all time, Gene Washington. 16's a lot, but the way he's going with Purdy, he's got 19 touchdowns in 29 games with Purdy, regular season games. He might get there to get to third. The two guys ahead of him would be Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
Yards. This wasn't talked about last night. I had sent out a tweet about this a few days ago because he was only 101 yards away from Dwight Clark. And I mentioned it again last night, and I didn't see anything nationally or really about the yardage thing unless I missed it. He's got 6,777 yards now. That's third all time in 49ers history, behind only Terrell Owens, Jerry Rice. So what he's done right now is put himself where he is the top 3 performer. He's a tight end. He's not a wide receiver. Yeah. Top 3 in receiving in 49ers history. And this season, he's played in 7 games. He's got 40 for 503 and 6 TDs. He's on a pace for 91 catches, 1,150 yards, and 13 touchdowns. And last night, like you said, was I should say week 8 was huge. 8 catches, 126 yards, and 1 touchdown in a game that they had to have. And he showed up big time. 73 yards after the catch, which the Niners haven't been getting a lot of. And just he is a generational player on a team that's had a lot of generational players. We'd love for him to get a ring because I think he's that kind of special. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best players the 49ers have ever had. He's a great personality. He's good for the game. George Kittle appreciation show right now.
George makes defenders piddle a little when they have to tackle him. So it works. But, and not only that, but, he's right now, like you said, he's third behind Rice and Owens. No one will catch Jerry Rice. Like, no, it's wild. It's just, I mean, he more than doubled up Terrell Owens. Jerry Rice has 1,200 and change. Terrell Owens has like 590 something. There is a world where George Kittle actually ends up second in receptions for 49ers, because you look at this team and again, you realize Brandon Ayuk no longer going to be here for the rest of the season and probably half of next season. We have no idea if Deebo Samuel is going to be here next season or not. You saw Ricky Pearsall looked good, right? Couple plays, the jet sweep I thought was awesome, but also you could see him. You could see the vision that they had when they drafted him, right? You could see him when it came to his route running. He was getting open, he was creating separation, and Brock was finding him, especially in the first half. But I mean, you could argue at this point right now, even with Deebo Samuel, if or when he is going to be healthy, right? He's going into the bye now with an oblique situation and a rib situation. Thank God for the bye, because I imagine he'll be okay. But you could argue that George Kittle is their best pass catcher on the team as it currently stands, with Brandon Ayuk, gone for the year. you through week 8, right? You said it already. He has 40. How many receptions?
40 catches.
40 catches, right? Through week 8, which means the likelihood that you could see that get to possibly 80 to 90 this season,
Sure.
Then he's only next season 40 or so away from Owens, as again the second overall in terms of catches. So just a very, very impressive player at a position that the 49ers have had their share of really good tight ends, and it started with Brent Jones, and then you had Vernon Davis, and now you've got George Kittle, right? They've had an impressive line of tight ends, and Kittle has been the best of all of them, just an overall game, and I really feel like with Kelsey, Kelsey's 35 years old now, just got his first touchdown of the season. I really feel like Kittle has established himself firmly as the best tight end in the NFL again, at 30 years old, which is an impressive feat for him. But yeah, I mean, this was a George Kittle game. Obviously, if you're going, hey, who gets MVP of that game, you got to go with George Kittle. Although I would like to put forth, I don't have a name, but whoever it was that helped Brock Purdy extricate his head from his ass at halftime, I think is the MVP, because it was a totally different quarterback that came out in the third quarter, and put 21 points up on the Cowboys. And it just felt like a really uncharacteristic game for Brock. A lot of misses, a lot of inaccurate passes. I think about the 4th down pass to Debo, which was just inexcusably bad. And then not only that, but one of the things that we've looked at or talked about this year is kind of the lack of yak that this team has had. That's been a hallmark for this team for many years, and it hasn't been that way this season. And a lot of that has to do with Purdy and the fact that he isn't as accurate this season as he was last season. And one of the things that you can, or one of the areas you can see that is leading receivers on like crossing routes and things like that. And that was one thing that, again, in the third quarter, you saw from him is more accurate passes that allowed for yak from Kittle, allowed for yak from Debo. And that was, again, it was a welcome sight to see. Still a lot to clean up. Again, I don't know why you go into the second to last offensive series when you're just trying to kill clock and win the game.
What
and
the
you
hell was
start
that?
with 2
The whole
passes.
series.
I'm like, what? I just again, like, just some things where I'm like, another example of Kyle Shanahan not having the best start. But again, a win is a win. They go into the bye 4-4. They are tied for first place in the NFC West. That's really all you could hope for out of this game. And then it sounds like Christian McCaffrey will be back post-bye. At some point, Drake Greenlaw will be back post-bye. Hopefully some of the guys that are banged up right now, Debo Samuel, I think Charvarius Ward, they haven't said anything. I think he's nursing an injury.
Yeah, with his knee or whatever kept him out that one game. That's absolutely bothering him.
I think the bye will help
evident.
him.
Yeah, it's evident.
But I mean, it really, like I said, this is the spot that they needed to be after that loss to the Chiefs. They needed to beat the Cowboys to go into this bye, to really hit the ground running post bye and get that, second half bump that we have come to expect from the 49ers. And it seems like we're headed that direction with some of the players that will come back. And then also just, it felt like the offense got back to its roots a little bit. I said, one of the things that we saw last night was under center play action, which is something that's been missing, and it was wildly effective. So, it wasn't pretty. There were still some questions about Sorensen and Staley, especially, giving up those 14 points in the fourth quarter. Although I will say that last touchdown to CeeDee Lamb, the reason that he was wide open wasn't a scheme issue. It was Jair Brown playing reckless and taking out his own teammate, which allowed CeeDee Lamb to just release off the line and just be wide open. But a lot of good things from last night and a lot of good things from the young players as well, which was also encouraging.
So actually, should have mentioned this. Kittle is 1,795 yards behind Owens. So very
For
attainable.
yards.
Very attainable for that for
Yeah.
yards. Yeah. So very attainable for second all-time 49ers history. You were talking about Purdy. When I was watching him in the first half, the ball's fallen out of his hand, which is the second or third time that's happened this season where he goes to throw a pass and it's just an empty
We
hand.
wanted to tuck it. He was trying to tuck it. Like it was
But
almost like, but whatever.
yeah.
Came
Again,
out.
but it happened again. So I'm like, and then he's sailing balls. He looked like, and he said this in the post-game interview too, that there's some stuff he just didn't throw. It was there that he didn't throw. And I thought that in the first half too. I'm like, I think he's got some things and he's not pulling the trigger here. So at that point, things are going through my head. Like, is he hurt? Did he hurt his hand or something? Is that why balls are sailing? Is that why he's got the empty hand thing going? Is that why he's maybe reluctant to let it go? I was maybe he's got an injury. We don't know. That doesn't appear to be the case. And I found it interesting. Brock's always a little bit stoic. He's he carries himself well. He's humble, and in interviews, he's not, where you see Kittle, who's very outgoing, Brock is more reserved in an interview. But I thought last night he was really stoic after the game. He seemed like he wasn't very happy. And a couple of things he alluded to was kind of what you said, like, I had to get my head out of my ass. Like, he wasn't happy the way he played. And then coming into the third quarter, it was the Brock Purdy that we had come accustomed to seeing or expected to seeing, where he was throwing dimes around the field. He's making good decisions. He's using his legs, which I think is a huge part of his game. And maybe he was trying to be a little bit too much from the pocket in the first half. Part of Purdy being Purdy is running around like a crazy person, spinning in the backfield, right? And making things happen. He's got 15 first down scrambling this season. This is from Jeff Deaney. I saw this, which is tied with Jaden Daniels. That's how effective he's been scrambling. Yeah. And he's, I believe he's got 200 and he's in the 200s in yards for rushing, which is 8th amongst quarterbacks. So it's been really prolific that way. We'll see with this. It's Purdy. I want to say that it's a young quarterback growing. That's what I hope that it is, but he's going to get his temperature taken, not only every game, every quarter. He's going to get his temperature every series. This guy's getting the temperature taken of where he is and is he worth this contract? And that's not going to go away. So I just want to see continued growth throughout the season. Again, I wasn't pulling the plug on him off a bad game last week. I wasn't pulling the plug off a first half where I'm like, dude, are you hurt? What's going on?
Yeah.
We saw what he could do in the third quarter, and the rest of the season is very important for him and very important for the 49ers, but a good step and hopefully some confidence to get whatever cobwebs were in his head out of the way.
Yeah, I'm looking on Pro Football Reference right now, and he has 42 rushing attempts for 210 yards. On Pro Football Reference, it says that he has 22 first downs and 3 touchdowns rushing, which, again, impressive.
Well, scrambles.
But those 15 are off
scrambles.
So,
scrambles,
so design runs versus scrambles. I thought one of the bigger plays of the night, and it was just a more of a heads up play than anything, was that rush in I think it was the fourth quarter, where they were trying to set up a screen to Debo, and the defensive end read it perfectly. And if he would have thrown it to Debo, it would have probably been a pick six. And instead he pulls it down and then rushes around the right side and picks up a first down. I think it's an important part of his game. And I think that Kyle Shanahan has finally kind of accepted that that's part of what is going to make him successful. And I think it needs to stay. And, I had said prior in our Chiefs preview that if the 49ers won, I could see, Brock Purdy rushing for between 50 and 60 yards. I was just a week early on that because, he did make a difference in the game last night with his legs.
Brian, the 49ers don't sniff the Super Bowl without him running. They don't.
Right. No.
Win either one of those games in the playoffs without, because his legs essentially got them back in those games and won those games when his passing wasn't working.
Yeah. And I think to a certain extent, sometimes that might calm him down a little bit when he does get in his head, because it does seem like for whatever reason, he is more in his head this year than he was last year. And I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's pressure. I don't know if it's, just the pressure of knowing like, hey, I'm up for a contract extension at the end of this year, right? Like I'm trying to cash in, right? I want to prove that I'm worth what everyone is saying I'm going to get or whatever. I don't know. But hopefully over the bye, Shanahan can help him just kind of refocus and just put it, put his eyes on football, and like I said, move forward. And we have come to expect and don't really have any reason not to expect that this team will come out in the second half and really be the team that we expected coming into the season. Again, the return of Christian McCaffrey, if it does indeed happen, could be big in that regard. But one of the things that I don't want to say is a disadvantage for them, but they have the toughest remaining schedule of the four NFC West teams.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah,
pretty brutal.
They're coming out of their bye. They're going to Tampa Bay, and then they host the Seattle Seahawks, who I don't know. I'm not all that afraid of them. They got absolutely
week to week. You don't know who's showing up on that team.
And they're fighting each other on the sidelines. Like there's some things going on there that aren't winning football. But that stretch afterwards, where they go to Green Bay and then to Buffalo, is going to be a really a big measuring stick for this team, and really where they stand, not only in the NFC, but also just in the grand scheme of, who can win the Super Bowl. If they go through that 4-game stretch out of the bye, at Tampa Bay, home to Seattle, at Green Bay, at Buffalo, if they come out of that stretch 3-1, I think it's all systems go.
That's enough for that.
I think even if they come out 2-2, that is a win. That Tampa Bay game, I don't know that they'll have Godwin or
Godwin's
they
out
won't
for
have
the year.
Godwin, but they might not have Evans still. And then again, like I said, that Seahawks, I think between Green Bay and Buffalo, they win one of those games. I'm not sure which one.
I hope so.
But I mean, both of those teams look really good right now. So it is a tough schedule. You're also hosting the Bears. You're at Miami, and then again that Monday night, December 30th game against the Lions looms a little large as well, because the Lions are absolutely obliterating teams right
offense.
now. Yeah, they are really good.
I want to give Debo a lot of credit, man. If you saw him last night, he clearly was not 100%. He had to take himself out. You could tell he was having trouble breathing. Giving him credit to go out and play the way that he did. So he had he carried the ball 4 times for 15 yards. He's still not getting those big runs, but they have to account for those runs when he's back there. 4 catches for 71 yards, and he did have the one long 47-yard catch, which is most of that. But he also had a touchdown called back on a holding call, a very long touchdown that obviously would have made his stats crazy. He would probably have about 150 yards and a TD or whatever it would have been.
Touchdown,
And he was getting knocked for you mentioned the 4th down pass by Purdy. Oh, Debo's got to catch that. Listen.
No, he doesn't. That was an awful
he does
pass.
not. Exactly.
Yeah, that was awful.
And we love Brock on the show. You know that.
Yeah.
Everybody else to the show knows that. Debo is running. All his momentum is going to the left.
Yeah.
The ball
away
is
from the ball.
Him to his right. You expect him to stop and turn that is, if he would have made that was an amazing catch. Would have been an amazing catch. That was not on Debo at all. You can't sprint to your left and then have someone throw something to your right and see how you do.
Behind you, yeah.
Behind you. Yeah, no, you're not going to catch it. So I thought Debo, and something else that I don't think got enough credit, for him to go out there after pneumonia, after being in the hospital that week. They needed him. He showed up. Credit to him, man. I thought Debo and Kittle, those are the 2 guys that they're going to have to lean on, and they did well. And also offensively, Isaac Guerendo. Jordan Mason goes out of this game. And this is a rookie, Guerendo, who we had wondered on this show. He had the long run against Seattle, but other than that, we're not sure if he can carry the load. He did, and then some. 14 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown, and it seemed like he was constantly getting in the second level, constantly breaking, 5, 6, 7-yard runs. He looked really good.
He looks like he's shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, listen, man, this rookie class, a lot of these guys are making a huge impact. The one blemish for Guerendo obviously was on that last series you talked about earlier. He completely missed the block, which got Purdy sacked, and they're lucky Purdy didn't drop the ball.
Yeah, there. That was a huge. That was the fact that he didn't fumble was humongous because he got obliterated from the blind side.
Yeah, so he's a rookie. He's gonna have to clean that stuff up. But I thought that was terrific. He's already better than Sermon and TDP and some of these other running backs they've taken in the mid rounds. But Nick Wagoner had posted about the Niners rookies. So through 8 games, the rookies have played 1,665 snaps, and Dominic Pooney is the most at 549. Last year, the whole season, rookies played 1,760 snaps, with Jair Brown leading with 554. And in 2022, they played 2,417 snaps, with Burford leading with 790. So this rookie class now is coming in, making a huge impact. Renaro Green looks really good and looks like they can count on him to be a starter at corner. Malik Mustafa, Hufunga's gone.
Malik. I keep having to tell myself, yeah. No, I have to remind myself all the time.
Hufunga is no longer, you may have seen the last of him with the 49ers. Mustafa can hit, Mustafa can cover. He's going to be the starting safety there. Ricky Pearsall, again, another great story. The dude got shot, man, and he's out and he's making plays. Crazy. He's making plays. He's catching balls. He had a big run. Only his second game in the NFL. He's already making plays. We know Pooney has been a starter all season, and he's got a huge future ahead of him. And we mentioned Garendo. Did I miss any rookies? I don't think so.
Jacob Cowing, who's
a punt returner now.
And again, that call that for whatever reason, I don't know how you miss that flag when he gets interfered with on the fair catch.
Oh,
just the fact that he caught that while getting kneed in the inner thigh was impressive. But we've mentioned Pooney before. I do just want to shout this out because I saw this today. This was impressive. These are his stats through 8 games. He's had 289 pass blocking opportunities, 0 sacks allowed, 0 quarterback hits, only 14 pressures, a 97.6 pass block efficiency rating, a 70.0 pass block grade through PFF, and a 73.3 run block grade. Again, wildly better than we could have ever anticipated. And really has his play, along with Trent Williams, has elevated the whole play of the line in general. Mm-hmm. And again, if we can get Jake Brendel out of the starting lineup post bye and get John Feliciano in as center, I think this offensive line could take an even bigger step forward and could be a strength on offense rather than, you're just hoping that they don't mess things up week to week. So that'll be interesting to see. But
they did well in this game, but it was a Cowboys defense that was
decimated by,
it doesn't have Lawrence, doesn't have Parsons. So you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt.
Pass rush ability to speak of. But yeah, I mean, you look at their draft, right? Pearsall in the first round, Green in the second round, Pooney in the third round, Garendo in the fourth round, Cowing in was it the 5th or 6th?
I believe he was in the 5th, all contributing.
5th,
contributing.
I mean, even Evan Anderson, the undrafted free agent that they signed to the roster for the rest of the season earlier this week, is making meaningful contributions. He played 14 snaps against the Cowboys, but I'm sure that number will increase as the season progresses. I can't think of another rookie class top to bottom that has played the meaningful snaps for their team more than this rookie class. And in fact, somebody asked Kyle Shanahan about it last night after the game. They said, like, have you thought about like how many snaps your rookies are playing? He's like, I think about it often. I was thinking about it often this week. And he said, we went into this season thinking it's going to be difficult for some of these rookies to play meaningful snaps because we've got a veteran laden team. So you're just hoping that, they can be the depth pieces that if something happens, they can be plugged in. Well, all those things happened in the first 8 games of the season. Yeah. And these guys have not only stepped up, but again, they're not 4-4 without these rookie contributions. They're just not. They're I would say maybe 2-6 or whatever. So this was a huge draft class, and for it to be the first draft class without Adam Peters, I think does speak well to the future of this team and its ability to draft moving forward, because Peters got a lot of credit for the draft, and specifically for those late round finds. And I mean, he's doing a hell of a job in Washington. That team is 6-2, and just playing incredibly well. But yeah, this rookie class is going to be one to remember for sure.
If there's a silver lining to the injuries, it's that these guys are able to play meaningful snaps, because you are going to need them moving forward, and we thought that they would. So to see them come in and do what they've done, it's been huge for the team, and hopefully it'll carry into next season with them. Defensively, this secondary is playing well. There's a lot of good things happening in secondary. Lenore is going to make a lot of money. He had an interception in this game, a pass breakup. He's one of 2 cornerbacks to rake in the top 10 in run stops, passer rating allowed, pass breakups, and interceptions. He's having an all-pro type season.
Yeah.
But there's still, again, this is a Cowboys team that has no running game whatsoever. And they hadn't run for more than 80 yards in all but 2 games. They had more than 80 yards rushing. They had 47 yards rushing at 10:58 left in the second quarter. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. If you can't stop this team, you can't stop anybody. I think they had 10 yards the rest of the game.
Yeah, as I say, Brock Purdy had as many rushing yards as the entire Dallas offense.
Yeah, Dallas is the only team who doesn't have a 20-yard run this season. They have the fewest 10-plus yard runs. So they're a terrible rushing team. They also don't have a lot of weapons on offense anymore. CeeDee Lamb is terrific. I like Ferguson as the tight end. He's a good kind of chain mover guy. But other than that, there's nobody that you're scared of on that offense. Yeah. And Dak Prescott, again, against the 49ers. 2 more interceptions. He's got 8 picks in the last 4 games against the Niners. Niners are comfortably ahead, and then they let them back in at the end of the game. That's where we've seen it happen twice already with the Cardinals, with the Rams. And if Purdy doesn't hold on to that ball, it gets dicey. And the Cowboys, I don't know what the hell they were doing their last possession, but thankfully the Niners shut them down. 3rd and 10, and you have 2 chances to get 10 yards. You need to get the first down. There's a ton of time left, and Dak throws a bomb. It was a good throw. He almost caught it, but that's not a high
should have been caught
pass there. I felt like, I'm like, why are you throwing that pass in that situation? You got to get a first down, take a shot at once you get the first down. Anyway, I'm glad that they did it, but still some things that make me nervous about the defense moving forward. We know Hargrave's not coming back. We don't know when Greenlaw's coming back. Campbell wasn't a liability in this game because they don't have running backs that are fast and were able to take advantage of him. So,
but he was a liability in coverage. They exploited him in coverage a few times.
Yeah, but not to the point of where you're like, holy shit. At least to me, it didn't stick out. I mean, I feel like he's always going to get exploited, but there weren't those plays where I'm like, oh my God, at least I didn't notice them. I'm sure they were there, but against the team like you talked about, the Packers and the Lions and the Bills, like it's a problem. So the Cowboys may be a team. They're the Cowboys. You say, oh, they're a playoff team. They're a good team. Cowboys look like a 7-10 team to me this year, 6-11. So they're not a great team. I don't think they're a great offense. Their wins that they've had, the Steelers win was a good one, but then they beat the Giants and the Browns. So it's not like they've had real impressive wins. So this Niners defense still has to show up against a better team for me. The offense will get it together because hopefully you're going to get McCaffrey back. Hopefully. Purdy, I think, is going to get it together. You have the weapons there. They'll score on offense. They'll be okay. Defensively, I don't know. I still don't know, and I still have a lot of concerns.
I think, I think we talked a little bit with Larry about possible trade targets, right? The trade deadline is a week from today. And I think for the 49ers, I would imagine that the most of what they're looking at has to be on the defensive side, because I think you've seen enough in the 2 games since, I guess the game and a half since Ayuk went down, where you're like, we've got enough on offense. If we don't add a wide receiver, right? We've got these guys that we drafted. We got to see what we have in them. Juwan Jennings will be back, right? You still got Debo. Obviously, George Kittle is a factor in the passing game. So I don't think that they're going to look, I mean, outside of maybe bringing in another running back, right? Possibly just to add some depth. again, because we don't really know what to expect if and or when Christian McCaffrey comes back. But so I think they're going to look on the defensive side, and I'm a little bummed. The Chiefs got better on defense today. I don't know. They didn't need to get better on defense, but they traded for Josh.
Trading with them?
It doesn't. It's just like the Bills, right? The Bills gave them Xavier Worthy, right? Because they trade him. Like,
trade with them
why are you trading with the team that just consistently punks you in the playoffs every year? Like, why are you helping them get better? But the Patriots traded with the Chiefs. They traded Josh Uche, their defensive end, to the Chiefs for a 6th-round pick, which I'm like, how are the 49ers not in on that? A 6th-round pick is nothing. I mean, that just seems like something that they should and could have been in on. But I do think that there's going to be some trades made for the 49ers, and I think it's to bolster the defense. And I would imagine it's either edge help or interior defensive line help, or both. And it'll be interesting to see kind of what that looks like. But they've got to get, I would assume that they got a little bit of confidence from this win, regardless of what happened at the end. Like I said, that last touchdown, that's Jair Brown being young and reckless and creating a situation that didn't need to be created, which was a wide open CeeDee Lamb. But you got to look around and say, outside of the Lions, who in the NFC are you worried about? You're worried about the Lions. You're worried about the Packers, right? But you get to play them. I don't know about the Vikings. It seems like,
well, they have the Niners number.
They do, but but the Vikings have to make the playoffs first, and that division is going to cannibalize itself
eventually.
And, you could definitely see a possibility where they don't make it, just because this happened last year, where their defense looked incredible the first half of the season, and then just kind of fell by the wayside. And then you can't forget that ultimately their quarterback is Sam Darnold. So, and then you look at Philly and you're like, I mean, Philly is 5-2 or whatever they are, but they don't look good.
Look like, they look like they're starting to get it together a little bit, but just from what the Niners have done in the past, it's hard to worry about them. That's sort of the way I feel about Philly.
And the Commanders are a good story, but it's a rookie quarterback.
There might be an expiration date on that. Yeah.
So you look around and go, outside of the Lions, right? Who are we most worried about? And if that's the case, then you gotta go all in. And Brett Veach is a perfect example, the GM of the Chiefs. Somebody asked him, like, do you go all in? And he's like, you have to be all in every year. He's like, the cap just keeps going up. Like, you can make trades, you can get rid of bad contracts. Like, you can't be scared to make moves to make your team better. And Chiefs haven't been, and I think the 49ers need to get into that mindset. And, there could be a move out there to be had that we're not even thinking about that could make a difference on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know. But I definitely think they're going to make at least one move just to bolster that side of the ball.
Yeah, they have to, because Detroit is going to – I'll be shocked if Detroit doesn't make a move, because they have to get a pass rusher now that they don't have Hutchinson for the rest of the season.
Yeah, how are they not in on Uche? That was another one where I'm like, how were they not in on it?
I saw an interview with Dan Campbell today, and it kind of seemed like they have something up their sleeve. He seemed pretty excited about the trade deadline. So who knows what Detroit's going to do. But listen, their offense is an absolute juggernaut right now. Yeah, just in the way that they can run the ball, and Goff is playing phenomenal. Goff has something like 56 incompletions this year. It was in the 50s when I looked at it.
They have I would say over the course of their last 5 games, they have more touchdowns than incompletions.
It's just nuts. I mean, Ben Johnson's going to be the hottest name if he wants to go anywhere. He could have went somewhere last year, but he'll get hired in a heartbeat, man. And if you look around the NFL right now, because I was looking at Purdy stats today, he's got 7 interceptions through 8 games, which is a high number. But if you look at the NFL right now, there are 11 quarterbacks with 7 interceptions or more. Baker's got 9. Baker also has 21 freaking touchdown passes, which I didn't realize. Dude's he's going to throw 40 touchdown passes.
I realized that because he's on my fantasy team.
Yeah, he's through. It's been without Godwin and Evans. He still had a big statistical day anyway. Mahomes has 9. Yeah, he was on my bench with 30 points.
He was not on my bench. He was starting for me.
It was a huge game.
Yeah.
Jordan Love with 9. Dak Prescott has 8. Mahomes has, does that say Mahomes have 8? No, Minshew. I can't read my own handwriting. Minshew has 8. Geno Smith has 7. Cousins has 7. Purdy has 7. The ghost of Aaron Rodgers has 7. Anthony Richardson, who, oh my God, I've never seen a quarterback literally losses because of a quarterback like I've seen with him a couple games this season, just giving the ball away at the end of the half and in the red zone and can't complete a pass. He's got a 44.4% completion percentage, 7 interceptions. Will Levis, 7 interceptions. There are 9 QBs with an interception percentage of over 3. Last year, there were 4. And the guys last year were Desmond Ridder, Mac Jones, Sam Howell, and Josh Allen. So 3 of those 4 guys aren't even starting.
Right.
This year, Levis, Richardson, Love, Mahomes, Minshew, Dalton, Baker, Carr, and Dak all have interception percentage of over 3 this year. And Purdy's at 2.9. Wow. So Purdy's hovering around there too. So for whatever reason, there's been a lot of picks this year, a lot of turnovers by quarterbacks. The years not too long ago when you'd see guys with 30 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions, it seems like that's kind of gone by the wayside now. Defenses are catching up a little bit. So for whatever the reason is for that. But, to even see Pat Mahomes with 8 TDs and 9 interceptions at this point in the season is nuts.
Yeah, it's wild. Quarterback play has just not been good this year, which is why, as it stands, Lamar Jackson is kind of the runaway favorite for MVP. And it's really,
don't sleep on my boy Josh Allen.
Well, I'd say it's really, to me, it's a 3-way race right now between Jackson, Allen, and then, to be perfectly honest, like if you're saying like who currently is number 3, I would. And it was wild. I'd put Jaden Daniels there, right? Like, I can't think of another quarterback outside of the 2 ahead of him that have played better this season than Jaden Daniels as a rookie.
Goff is up there too.
Yeah, I mean,
I know. When you look at his numbers,
you're right.
He's not going to win it, but you look at his numbers, he'll be up there.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if this Lions offense can continue this pace, because it's just ungodly what they're doing right now. And I don't, it's hard to imagine Jared Goff at any point not regressing a little bit, but hey, you never know.
They're one of those teams too. Like I really like watching them and I want to root for them, but because they're in the NFC, like, all right, I'm not going to root for you so much. If they were in the AFC, they'd be, kind of the team that they're fun as hell to watch. They're a good story. Dan Campbell's fun. Gibbs and Montgomery. I love that 1-2 punch.
Well, and what's interesting ridiculous. Is the 2024 Detroit Lions are very similar to those like 2019 49ers teams, that 49ers team where because I think it was the 2019 team where every team that played them the week before lost the week after because the 49ers just beat the shit out of them. The Lions are doing that right now. Like every team that has played the Lions has just gotten wiped out their following week as well. And it's just interesting. It's very, like I said, they're imposing their will on these other teams and really making, I mean, you look at the Rams after that week 1 game, right? They get blown out by the Cardinals. The week after the Cardinals play the Lions, they get blown out. Just everybody that has played the Lions the next week has lost. And so, I mean, they're definitely head and shoulders right now above anybody else in the NFC, especially with Jordan Love and just kind of continuing to get beat up a little bit.
I feel like he's compensating for his initial injury, and I think they heard he was growing yesterday.
Yeah. So it sounds like he'll be out at least a week, maybe 2. It doesn't sound like it'd be more than that, but you're talking about a team that again, Malik Willis has looked good, and I mean Matt LaFleur is a really good
he's doing a
head coach and a really good offensive play caller, but it really is the Lions in the NFC, and then just kind of everybody else. So like I said, I mean, you gotta look and go, okay, well, we know the talent that we have. And if we are going to get these guys back, if Greenlaw's going to be back, if CMC is going to be back, right? Like we have the confidence to be like, we've already beaten that team in the playoffs. We know that we can beat that team. We've done it. Right.
You gotta be better.
They're largely
to do that though on defense.
That's what I'm
get better
saying.
up front.
So that's where you go, okay, well, what do we need to do again if we think that we're going to meet them again? Well, you got to bolster that defensive line, and so it'll be interesting to see what kind of moves they make. With the deadline being a week away.
For sure, they run on everybody, and right now your defensive line is not good enough. So I think you need a pass rusher, and I think you need somebody inside. But we'll see what they're going to do. It's going to be interesting. The Niners are aggressive. They're going to do something. I would be shocked if they don't make a move, and a significant move. So something will happen. It's just a matter of what. And I agree with you on the receivers. I don't know that they need anyone, but considering Debo gets banged up, Jennings has been banged up, and you're relying on rookies, one of whom is coming back from being shot, they may want to add someone. Deontay Johnson's a name I'd love to get him in here because he's a hell of a player. Yeah, but we'll see. But the Niners will be, they only have so many picks, so you only trade so many picks. But if they got 2 players in here, I would not be surprised to see them add more than one at the deadline.
Agreed.
So, all right, rest of the week we got Cynthia Freeland scheduled, so that's going to be fun. We've had Cynthia on the past couple years. We love talking to her. We're going to record with her tomorrow, and that'll be out, if not Wednesday, soon thereafter. So look forward to that. Until then, like, subscribe. For Brian, I'm Al.
Later.